Hi friends, Christine McKinley here with the Orlando Real Estate Chicks. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about the 2026 market housing predictions. There are so many headlines out there, so I'm going to talk about this from a data perspective. I take in a lot of information every single week regarding the numbers, regarding unemployment, GDP, inventory, what buyers and sellers are saying every single week in my appointments with them. So we're going to go over what I think that mortgage rates are going to do, inventory is going to do, and my advice to buyers and sellers. But first, let's talk about where we ended up in 2025. Mortgage rates ended in the low 6%. I think today it was at 6.22%. Which is pretty good. We remain pretty stable. One thing I noticed that buyers were saying throughout 2025 is that they were kind of promised these rate drops. They knew that the Fed was always meeting, so they were promised these rate drops throughout the year, and they were very underwhelming whenever they happened. So we were just getting the tiniest little rate drops. We ended at 6.22%, which is great compared to last year when we were in the mid 7s. But I think a lot of people were hoping that we were going to be like back in the mid 5s, and that just didn't happen. Existing home sales were up a little bit. Inventory increased a decent amount. And this really sets the runway for 2026. We didn't have a lot of volatility in 2025. Again, we were promised some rate cuts that didn't really happen, so rates kind of stayed. They started in the high 6s and now we're ending in the low 6s, which everyone should be pretty happy about going into 2026. So let's talk about what I think mortgage rates are going to do in 2026. I think that mortgage rates are going to pretty much stay the same. I think that they're going to be in the low 6s. I don't think that we're going to see 5.99%. And honestly, this is a good thing for sellers, and I'm going to get to that later in the video. But this is going to be a very stable market. So buyers will no longer be saying, oh, I'm going to wait for the rate cut, I'm going to wait for the feds to meet. There's not going to be any more of that because it is predicted to kind of stay the same. Inventory. So what is going to happen with inventory? So this year in 2025, it was slowly coming back. And I think that we're going to see pretty much the same in 2026. The point of this video is that hopefully it's not eventful. A non-eventful market update is what you want. I think that there's going to be a little bit more options for buyers, but again, not a whole lot. This will give buyers some more options in certain pockets of Orlando, but we are not going to see a super spike in inventory. I think, right now it's the end of December. I think January, first few weeks of January, we're going to see, a spike in inventory compared to December, but that's not going to continue and a ton of homes are going to hit the market in 2026. So far we're looking pretty good. Again, I think that rates are going to stabilize in the low 6s. We might come down a little bit more, and then I think the inventory will continue to creep up little by little. So what does this mean for buyers in 2026? Because we're going to get a little bit more inventory, this is going to give you a little bit more leverage when negotiating. You're able to be selective again, and I think that it's a good place to be in as a buyer. I think that we are going to work on getting the prices down, and I think that we are going to work on making sure that the condition of the home is fantastic. I even have a buyer under contract right now where the seller is already feeling these effects, and we got a pretty good price reduction on the house. We got 2 giant trees that are way too close to the house to be cut down, and we got their closing costs covered. So I think we're already seeing a little bit of this. I think that 2026 will be a really good year for buyer negotiations, and affordability is so out the window that I think that we'll be able to negotiate closing cost credits, which during the craziness of 2020 and 2021, that was completely out the window. People were actually coming to closing with a lot more money than they planned on. And so I'm really happy for my folks in their 30s and 40s who are maybe purchasing their first house. And in this market, saving is one of the hardest things for buyers to do. It's the hardest thing to save for a down payment and your closing costs. So I'm excited for some buyers to get their closing costs covered so that this can just be an easier move for them. Now, what does this mean for sellers? So I would say overall in Orlando, we're still going to be in a little bit of a seller's market in most pockets, but not all pockets. And I will tell you right now that overpricing the home is going to punish you quickly. The market is not going to allow you to have an overpriced home on the market and continue to get showings and offers. And in this market, prep and presentation matter a lot. So you're going to need a very strong listing agent who's going to guide you into getting your home in tip-top shape for the market. If you put a dirty, cluttered, unorganized, messy home on the market, your price is going to reflect that in 2026. Buyers are not having it this year. Homes that are priced well will still sell, but maybe not even automatically. The right strategy is very important and it will help you win as a seller, but you are going to need a strategy. Long gone are the days that you can just put the house on the market and hope. To wrap up, 2026 is not about extremes. Thank goodness we had enough of that in the last few years. This is a planning market, not a panic market. So if you are a buyer, you should be having a consultation with your realtor before you go out and look at any homes. That is going to be super important to get your plan together. And if you are a seller, of course, you should be interviewing multiple agents and you should be getting a plan together to put your house on the market with its best foot forward. If you are curious about your zip code, about your street, or your particular neighborhood, scan the QR code and let's get talking about your specific area. Drop in the comments any questions that you have or reach out to me for specific guidance. Bye.